It's hard to believe how little time we've actually been in Honduras because we have done and seen so much already. This morning we spent the morning at the school and we had every single group in the school, 6 groups, for between 20 minutes and half an hour, and we were teaching them 1, 2, 3, Jesus loves me. We managed to get hold of a keyboard and they just loved that, doing the actions to that. And we also did some drama with the older ones to much hilarity. And one thing that is really obvious on the whole site is the affection that the children have for one another, for their teachers, and particularly the children in the orphanage, for Bill and Mary. It was Neal's birthday today, and the entire school sang him happy birthday. And happy birthday is incredibly long here in Honduras because they sing it in English. Apparently they always do that. They sing it in English, they sing it in Spanish, and then they sing another bit on the end, which I've got no idea what that is because that's all in Spanish, but it takes about half an hour to sing the full happy birthday. So Neal felt well blessed on his birthday. We managed to have a good amount of time with Bill and Mary and hear their stories, and it just makes you realise that living by faith is not something for super saints. It's a daily struggle to trust that the resources are going to come in, to trust that these 24 boys that have been given them to look after are going to be fed and educated. I mean, I was knocked out by the fact that they allow the boys to stay on if they're studying until, I think the oldest boy is 26, and they pay them through university. And some of these guys are looking confident and happy and at ease with themselves, and one of them in particular was discovered on the streets when he was 6, and it's just such a blessing that Bill and Mary have given to these children, and they are like parents to all of them. Everything here seems to have happened incredibly fast, looking back on it now as we're just about to leave La Ceiba. It's been like a really condensed trip. And 2 days ago we went up into the mountains with Pastor Fredy and his family. There is a fish farm and Neal actually managed to catch a fish. I have some footage of him with this rather interesting net catching a fish, but I have to say that the guy who's really good at it normally gets quite a few more than one. I didn't try it. And the other thing they have are amazing varieties of fruit, grapefruits, oranges, mandarins, some others I'm going to have to look up because I had no idea what they were, bananas, and some green coconuts which I'd never seen before. And the guy with a really frightening looking machete was chopping the top of these coconuts and giving them to us like a bottle to drink out of. And it didn't taste like normal coconut milk, it tasted like juice. It was absolutely lovely. Yesterday we went to the feeding station, and that is an extraordinary setup. I had the great good fortune to be cooking with Nora, who, because she was born and brought up on Rotan, actually spoke English. It was very heavily accented English and quite different in grammatical construction from ours, more like Jamaican patois, but at least we could communicate. And it's quite extraordinary to see what they are doing, feeding so many men who come in. And I asked if there was any way of checking if the men were unemployed, but no, they just feed anyone who comes. It doesn't matter who they are. And they also bus in an awful lot of children. I would say probably about 40 children sitting very obediently around a table waiting to be fed, and all dressed so beautifully and so smartly, and some of the little girls wearing white headscarves because they obviously knew they were coming to a church, and their mothers must have thought this was a mark of respect. Last night Neal preached at Pastor Fredy's church, and we had the great good fortune that Pastor Alan, who has a church close by, was able to interpret, and that was great to meet Pastor Alan as well.
But we came in on the end of Pastor Fredy's preach from the service before. They have a service at 5 and it sort of runs into a service at 6. And his preaching is emphatic, to say the least. I'm not surprised they had to replace the speakers. They were screaming and groaning under the strain of Pastor Fredy's strong preaching. And I said to Neal, you're going to have to up the ante a bit to preach here. And I have to say, it was the most Pentecostal I've ever heard Neal in his preaching. But it was really touching the way they prayed for us and spoke to us, and the way most of the congregation came up and hugged us at the end. And clearly the support of the church and the link with a church in another country to which probably none of them are ever going to go means an enormous amount to them, and I was quite humbled by that.